Hey friends, just hopping in real quick at the top of this episode to let you know my buddy Swan kind of sprung this on me unexpectedly. I got this story to tell. That's pretty much what this episode is, just me telling a story. I think it's a reasonably entertaining story. I have intended to tell it at some point. I had kind of imagined, though, preparing notes and kind of putting it together in a nice, maybe more graceful way. Kind of the Moth Radio Hour storytelling festival style, though, of course, dreaming that I'd even be capable of putting together a story in that style and actually doing it are two very different things. So maybe it's better to just have it done this way, just get it out. So hopefully this is a reasonably entertaining a story and it's enjoyable. If not, I do apologize. Also, just so you know, the next episode that comes out after this one, so in 2 weeks, is going to be an interview with Michael Roddy of Arise and Go. If you're not already familiar with Michael Roddy as a piper or with Arise and Go as a music group, feel free to check them out. They've got some great stuff on YouTube, and of course their music's around on Bandcamp and stuff like that. Make really good music. I'm really looking forward to sharing that episode with you. It was a really delightful interview, and if you don't have a copy of their album yet, one option is to try your luck over on Patreon, because I'll be giving away a copy of their album here at the end of the month. So hop over there. I got it set up with 2 tiers. The tenor drone tier is only $3 a month. The bass drone tier is only $5 a month, and you get entered into these drawings, and you get to be privy to all kinds of really fun conversations and stuff over there. I'm sure the 4 patrons that are currently over there are chuckling right now because check it out. Then you'll know what it's like. Anyway, there's the plug. Hope you enjoy this story and have a great great day, great evening, great week, whatever it is. Bye bye. This is actually the first time that I've done an interview in person, I think. Pretty sure.
I'm glad to be like the 5th time you've interviewed me and the first time you've interviewed somebody live.
A lot of the times
like
that I've interviewed have been you're the first book club interview as well, if I can call it that.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, you know what would be funny? Get at your chanter. Play us in. Play me a little something, would you? What were you playing just now?
Oh, well, a work in progress.
Or do something else.
That's what I was playing.
While I try to open my ginger beer without getting this all wet.
So, if you want to hear how horribly I am, so Pipeline just a few weeks ago had what's her name? Bridger Heimel? I don't know how to say her name. She had the reeling on there. She had Skylark's Ascension, and I was like, I have to learn that tune. So I've been learning that tune. So I'm playing a version, more of a Great Highland pipe version, right? I'm not as good as those small pipers out there, but. Oh man, let's try that all over again. I'm very snatchy in my playing, as I've noticed. Let's jump. How about you come in? You can leave all this in. That's fine. Let's try. Let's just go to the second part.
Nice. Is that the one on the reeling? Does that one have a lady singing Cantrop with it at some part, like after it's been going for a couple minutes?
I've actually never listened to the album The Reeling.
Oh.
Unless that's what Gary West played on Pipeline.
I know that he did play a track from The Reeling pretty recently, but he might. I mean, it's a great album.
I don't know if it was The Reeling or if it was just another one of her recordings.
Right.
But.
Yeah. Yeah. when I first encountered her, I hadn't heard anybody say her name, and so in my head it was always something like Brigada Chambuiel, something like that, you know. And like every time I wanted to look up her album again, I had to like be like, oh, I'm gonna try a few times at the Google search, like type in what I think it's spelled like, and then type like bagpipes, you know, like try to narrow it down. I've heard people since there say it something like Brigida.
Sure,
and then Campbell.
I mean, sure.
Sure,
that
right?
sounds great.
Sure.
We all know who we're talking about, right?
We all know who we're talking about. It's kind of like Benedict Cumberbatch, you know. You can like you can kind of like say kind of his name, and you know what people are, you know what they're talking about.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, you know, I know you're gonna get 1,000 emails. Hopefully, nobody has my email.
Yeah,
they're gonna be like, that guy sucks. Like, I know I suck. But I'm having fun doing it. So
send them in. Send them in to TheDroningOnPodcast@gmail.com. Let me know what you thought about Mike's rendition. Oh shoot! But the reason I was going to have you play us in was so that I could do a little gag and be like, okay, here's what I was going to do. I was going to say, hello, my name's James here with the Droning On Podcast. I'm here with my clean shaven co-host Mike Swan, and now you say that's me.
That's me.
And now I say, this is a squeaky clean podcast, so if you want to listen to something horribly, terrifyingly dirty, I suggest you hop over to the Chanter Ant. 3, 2, 1, happy days.
Sunflowers and pink roses.
Yeah, I tried to gag like that when Josh was on the show, and maybe that one went more smoothly. But I should plan my gags ahead of time instead of trying to just shoot them from the hip.
That's good. It's okay because I've got not a gag, but I have a twist for you.
Bring it in.
This episode is going to be about James Moyer.
What? Come on. No.
Yes. 100%.
Come on.
Because no one's heard your story. Right? So the idea with the podcast from a back end type of listen here, personage, whatever. From somebody that knows more than just what's hit publish and hit send, hit print, download, listen to. The idea with the podcast is people's stories, getting to know the people, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So,
yeah.
Now it's time for your story.
Oh, okay. No, I could roll with this. This reminds me. Do we still have? Maybe I can't remember if I mentioned this on one of the episodes when I interviewed you before. Maybe when I talked with Kevin, it came up. That like you and I have been chatting about like because you're also a connoisseur of podcasts.
Yeah.
You had that auto sales podcast for a while. And like I have nothing to do with auto sales, but I listened to every episode of that podcast. and very much enjoyed it, you know. And I remember it was while I was listening to that I was just thinking to myself like, why am I enjoying this? You know, when like the subject matter really isn't that interesting. It's because there were a lot of stories that came up, all these stories about customers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's why it'd be enjoyable. So you are very much like the
Don't set this bar too high, dude.
But you are very much like, well, you're at least the wall that I've been bouncing stuff against since before the beginning. For you know, like every time I have an idea or I'm unsure about something, I'm always like, hey Swan, like what's this thing? Oh yeah, by the way, we're drinking Bundaberg ginger beer. Not a sponsor, but they could be if they wanted to be.
If you haven't gathered from my previous episodes, James and I are both a lover of wings and ginger beer.
And we just finished a lot of wings. And in fact, if you felt unsure about your playing just now on the practice chanter, blame it on the wings.
Totally.
You just covered in sauce.
Slipping all over that.
Now this is supposedly a product of Australia. There is a picture of a kangaroo on the front, so I got to think that's got to be.
It says Australian family owned.
So
now, if I had to rate this ginger beer,
are we talking 1 to 10, or are we talking 5 stars? 1 to 10 stars. Should we do that?
I would give it a 2.
2? Yeah. I'm
out of 100.
2 out of 100.
No,
oh no.
That's an inside joke for anyone that's watched. Oh shoot, what's that? What's that New Zealand one? Flight of the Conchords?
Oh, yeah. Flight of the Conchords. Yeah, okay.
The band manager writes an article and gives the review at 2, and they think it's 2 out of 5, but it's 2 out of 100. No, it's good. It's as far as ginger beers go that I've had, it's definitely a sweet.
Yeah.
A ginger flavor, but not the ginger burn so much.
Yeah, I like it, but I definitely like it. If it was up to me, I'd say this is the best ginger ale out there.
I would agree with that.
But
yeah, because as you and I define them, ginger ales tend to be more that soda pop sweet.
Yep.
And a ginger beer, puts hair on your chest.
That's right. Or singes it off, one or the other. Our second highest by nationality, our second highest listenership right now is in Australia. So if any Australians have strong feelings about Bundaberg ginger beer,
is ginger beer popular down there?
Is it a thing down there? Yeah, that's the thing about these imported goods. I never know, like, are they slapping the Australian label on here because Americans will be like, ooh, Australian, cool, I'll buy it. And then, like, it's, like, unknown in Australia. Like, do they, like, not even sell their product in Australia? Or is this, like, an Australian favorite and it got so big that they were like, oh, let's take it international, you know?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Take it elsewhere.
Yeah, let us know.
Yeah.
Let James know.
Yeah.
So James, talk to me about how you got into... Well, no, everyone knows. If they listen to if you haven't, go back and listen. Previous episodes.
Well, that's sorry. I don't mean to yank you off your track here. I meant to ask you. Do we still have those episodes somewhere, like in Google Drive or something? Because at some point, when you were still running, excuse me, ginger burp. You were still running that Car Talk podcast.
Oh, yeah.
I came over to the dealership and we did like a test run, and we just like, is there really something in this for like a bagpipe stories interview show? And we just like tried it out. And you sent me the recording so we could listen to it and think about it later. I wonder if do you know if they're still on Ginger Drive? Are they still on Google Drive?
I never cleared out my Google Drive, so they're very high
probably still there.
Possibility.
I gotta dig them up.
So I'll take a look.
That'll be episode 100 Easter egg release or something.
Yeah. Do you know what episode you're at right now?
Mid-50s.
That's cool.
The every other week schedule, man, makes it it's a long time to the top if you want to rock and roll.
What are some of the best interviews as far as like story, like open your mind, like wow, kind of shocking, didn't know. What are the best stories you've uncovered?
Obviously, every interview with Mike Swan, every one of them is just like epiphanies. You know, it changes your whole outlook. Yeah. Let's see. Good stories. Well, I'll tell you what. Carrie Ann, who manages Wasatch, delightful interview. Like, it was like not a single minute that wasn't being filled up with stories. You know what I mean? Like, and now, of course, now I feel like I'm gonna need to think of something nice to say about every one of the 50 or so people I've interviewed. But that definitely was a delight because like I got the sense that like Carrie Ann was very easygoing about it, but just like story after story, there was I didn't have to like fish for anything and be like, no wait, back up, tell me more about that or anything like that. She was like, she knew what the assignment was. She brought out some great stories. Yeah.
So where are you at in your piping currently?
At present, I'm doing a lot of solo gigs, just trying to make a little money on the side, hopefully to cover the expensive habit of bagpiping and make a little bit more than that.
What are the solo gigs you're doing?
Of course, mostly funerals. So many funerals.
So great Highland stuff.
Yeah, a lot of great Highland stuff. I mean, like, I try to persuade people to hire me to play small pipes. Nobody wants it. Like, there's a travel magazine that last year I went and they just needed some. Now it sounds like a humble brag because it sounds like it's modeling. It wasn't modeling. They just needed a picture of a bagpiper during COVID, and because they couldn't travel to Scotland, and so I went in my uniform and let them take some pictures. You know, I was like playing pipes and stuff. But the lady taking the photos runs like an art gallery in Provo, and I told her, I was like, listen, you know, I know it's kind of a weird thing, but like if you ever want smaller, quieter bagpipes like in the corner during like a gala, you know, let me know. And she's like, yeah, maybe if we do like a showing of landscapes or barns or something, you know. And like there, in fact, there's also a guy, I forget his name now. He just made a film. His name is Greenflake, I think was the name of the film. And anyway, I reached out to him. They were setting up a statue in Salt Lake to commemorate the enslaved people who came in with the pioneers when they came to Utah, rather than only having statues to, you know, Brigham Young and other white leaders, right? Just to acknowledge that there are some people that weren't like that came into the valley at the time. And I messaged him too. I was like, look, I know this is weird, but like if you ever want bagpipes for like that event or something, like let me know. I've got these smaller bagpipes. I've like reached out to choirs and stuff. Yeah. Nobody wants small pipes.
That's funny because I was on a photo shoot yesterday.
Ooh.
And it was for...
Were you in front of the camera or behind it?
No, I was behind it. And I was just taking pictures of a bunch of like CEOs and CFOs.
Oh, sure.
A bunch of business nominees they were all getting some awards. But it was all ritzy and black tie, and it was at the I guess it wasn't black tie, it was just business.
Some of the ties were probably black.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, but I mean, so much so they held it at the Grand America,
Mm.
and they hired a harpist.
Oh, fancy.
So while everyone's sipping Diet Coke and cocktails, and the harpist is playing, and she starts playing "Stairway to Heaven."
Oh yeah.
And like, so that
Mm-hmm.
oh, it just made me think when you were talking about how like let's get small pipes in here, and they're like, well, maybe if we use landscape stuff, it's like here we are at this business professional setting with a harpist nonetheless,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and like she goes into Stairway to Heaven.
Yeah.
No, it's just like that's. I don't know how many
Pretty
people
cool,
caught it, but
man.
it was great, and the
Yeah.
first part works. The first part is just
Sure. I'd imagine like maybe you lose it a little bit as it winds up there toward the end. Huh?
so. Most of your solo gigs are great Highland stuff, but you're like the one guy I go to when it comes to small pipe stuff, and many of your interviews have been with small pipers as well.
Yeah, maybe I'm skewing a little bit myopic, like, but why am I doing this if not to do whatever I want, right? And so, like, it has been, on the one hand, I really like doing this podcast because I've got to know a lot of my local friends better, my local piping and drumming friends. But on the other hand, it gives me an excuse to reach out to these heroes, right, of mine and be like, oh, well, would you talk to me?
Yeah.
And that is a lot of fun. For me, at least. Hopefully it's fun for listenership as well. But it might be. I have wondered before if it's like too much. Like if I'm going to do a niche thing, bagpipes is niche already. But within that niche, then we've got the competitive piping niche, and we've got the small piping niche that includes uilleann pipes, border pipes, everything else, right? Mm-hmm. And then you got bag rock as well. Like there are all these niches within that niche, and it's like, oh well, shoot, if am I trying to target 2 or 3 of these, and so a listener who will enjoy episode 27 by the time they get to episode 32, they're like, there's nothing here for me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, I do like small pipes. That's true. I get excited about small pipes.
Yeah, as I can see, you've got your 3D printer printing off.
Yeah, that's right. Trying to print some small pipes right now.
Many pieces of
Can never get enough small pipes.
Okay, well, I want to jump straight into this juicy fat story.
Oh, Tony?
Yes.
Okay.
But I would like you to keep the reveal to the very end.
Okay.
Now, let me set this up.
Which reveal? The sad reveal?
No.
Because there's some reveals.
The reveal of who Tony is.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I remember, like, immediately after I got off the phone with you, it was like, all right, let me set the stage here. I get this phone call.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm driving. I'm in a work truck. And
wait, now, and when even this was like in the pandemic, it was like, was this like midsummer 2019 or something like that?
I don't remember the year. It was definitely summer.
Yeah.
Because I remember being in this stupid, hot, sweaty.
But it could have been 1920 or 21.
I think it was 20.
Okay.
If I had to take a stab. I don't know. It's. I mean, we could look. I don't remember.
We're getting
so,
old.
Doesn't
getting
matter.
old and
doesn't
the
matter.
pandemic. It all makes it.
Doesn't
makes
matter.
it hard.
I get this phone call, and you're like, bro, let me set the stage for you. Let me tell you. And I'm going to have James go through all this. I have, and I feel like I remember you saying like don't tell anyone. Was there ever a non-disclosure or anything like that?
They said they were going to have me sign one several times, but I never did.
Okay.
So really, I could do what I want with this information.
So with that said, I think I was hesitant to like tell people, but I remember telling people like at Wasatch.
Yeah.
I'm like, James, like Tyler, specifically Tyler, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, Tyler, James. I'm like, you need to ask him about this guy.
Yeah.
Ask him about his private gig. Ask him about Tony. Ask him about like. And he's
Yeah.
like, what? So I just checked in the other day. And I was like, did you ever talk to James about this Tony? And he's like, oh, no, you told me I was supposed to talk. I'm like, dude. So I give him like the quick version, and I realized I forgot so many details. But you've got to leave this in, and we've got to let Tyler know, because
Yeah. Okay.
this is going to blow the minds of all those that listen.
If nothing else, we'll get this story down for Tyler's sake, if nothing else, right?
That's what I'm getting at.
My good buddy, did you know Logan Manning?
Yes.
So his little brother, Evan, has been one of my best friends since, I think, literally kindergarten. And I told him this story as well. And he's been asking me since then to like write it down or something. And I haven't got around to doing so. So it's good. This is good. I've been thinking to myself, I should like prepare notes and like try to remember all the details. But the truth is, it's too insane, and there were too many details to really have any hope of remembering all of them. So I'll just barf this out
So
however it comes.
So let me formally ask, James, what's the story with Tony?
Okay, so here's the story with Tony. All right, let me go back in my own mind and carry you with me. One evening, so I have a website, right, to catch gigs, right?
Yes.
I think I've done a decent job with SEO, so I pick up, and it's geographically specific. So anybody looking for like Utah bagpipes, that kind of thing, is probably gonna find me. So I get a lot of messages, a lot, right? Air quotes.
They come in.
They come in. So I get a message that doesn't sound that different from most. One evening, it says something like, "Hey, we want bagpipes tomorrow morning in Park City area, right? Park City, Utah is somewhere that even people outside Utah might know about a little bit. Kind of, no. I was gonna say Sundance, but it's not exactly. It's like
it's where
further up
probably like 95% of the Sundance films are shown.
Yeah,
is Park City.
Yeah,
as well as the ski
lovely
resorts, of course.
Right? Ski resorts and stuff like
Deer
that.
Valley, a lot of celebrities ski at Deer Valley. Everybody knows Park City.
Kind of a bougie area as far as like the homes and the businesses go, but also very much like preserving the natural beauty of the area as well.
Yeah.
So very pretty place.
It's like the Aspen, Colorado.
Yeah, totally. Yep,
Utah.
it's our Aspen, yeah. And so they say, I want bagpipes in the morning in Park City. So immediately I'm thinking to myself like, oh, it's going to be like some fancy get together, something like that. And they say we just kind of want to have like bagpipes at the side of the lake while we're eating breakfast. I was like, okay, so some well-to-do person, maybe it's like a memorial service or something. Like it's clearly not a funeral, It's not gonna be like a crazy party. It's like some sort of calmish kind of thing. Speaking of small pipes, I was like, no, maybe I'll take my small pipes. Who knows what'll be best. Let's see. I'm trying to think then what were anyway. So they sent me that message, and I was like, yeah, I can do that. You bet. And I'll tell you some money stuff too, just because it becomes funny later, right? So like usually at the time I was charging and I've taken my rates up a little bit, like I think most people have more recently, but usually I was charging like 150 was my base rate for a funeral, and then usually for a wedding I would start at like 300, 350, something like that, and you kind of add on to that if I had to travel and stuff like that. So this I was like, it might not take that long to do the gig. It's gonna be a pretty easy gig, but it's kind of a drive. So I was like, look, $250.
And do you know what time it's happening at yet?
No, they just said in the morning, Yeah. I was like, yeah, I can come out there in the morning, no big deal. Like I had some work stuff, but I at the time was doing a job where I pretty much did my own schedule. So I was like, yeah, I can make room for this in the morning and then go do what I have to get done. So like, yeah, $250, I'll come up there and play for you. And they're like, okay, great. Then they messaged me back and they're like, we also want some bagpipes. And I was like, yeah, I'll bring them. I'm gonna play some bagpipes. And the guy's like, no, look, we want bagpipes. Like, the guy who's hiring you, Tony, he wants some bagpipes. I was like, oh, like he wants to buy some bagpipes. He's like, yes.
And you're like, you're not the guy hiring me?
Yeah. I was like, oh, so you're not. Okay. And I can't remember, at some point I find out like this guy who's messaging me, his name is Don. Right. And I think I'd like to think it's probably safe enough to use his actual name, because that plays into what is maybe a stereotypical thought that I had, but it feeds the joke here a little bit. So like I got this guy, Donnie, who's messaging me, right, telling me that Tony wants bagpipes, right? And so like the image in my mind is shifting a little bit from what I thought this gig was going to be like, just a little bit, right? And I'm like, oh, well, I'm not like a bagpipe supplier.
You're thinking like New York Mafia.
That's what I start thinking. Yeah. Not like I'm in danger or anything, but like that's, the classic image starts coming into my mind of like, oh, these guys are gonna be wearing 3-piece suits and fedoras, and like maybe they want me to play while they say goodbye to a comrade wearing like cement shoes or something, like why are we by a body of water? And so he's like, no, we want, and I do get messages pretty often from people looking to buy bagpipe supplies because of the decent job I've done getting the website out there. Right now, I have to tell them like, oh, I can recommend some people, but this is a gigging site, So I tell them that I'm like, I'm not a bagpipe supplier, but I can recommend some buyers for you and stuff like that. And the message that comes back is just, Tony doesn't like to wait. How much for bagpipes tomorrow? And I'm like, well, so I tell him, I'm like, and at that point I turn to my wife, I'm like, I don't know what to do about this. Like I've got my Highland bagpipes, right? They're booths. They're decent. I mean, if I was going to sell them, I might put them up for $1,000, somewhere between $850 and $1,200,
Yeah.
But I'm like, they got sentimental value too. And I don't want to be like without my bagpipes, And then I also, at the time, I had like some twist trap pipes, and I had a set of the Canadian guy who does small pipes. all of a sudden, Walsh, Matt Walsh?
Yeah.
Walsh?
No, John Walsh.
John Walsh, yeah, Matt Walsh, America's Most Wanted. Is that Matt Walsh? John Walsh. So I had some small pipes and stuff. So I was like,
or is John Walsh? I don't even know.
I can't even know. I can't even
oh,
remember
bro,
now.
we're such fools.
Somebody. It's Walsh for sure.
The guy who makes Walsh shuttle pipes, right?
Yep, that's the guy.
Yeah,
that's the one. Yep, that's the one. So anyway, I told my wife, I'm like, I guess I'll just take all my bagpipes and like see what happens, right? So I text back. I was like, look, and it's like the same as when I told him I'd do it for $250. It's like, I wish I could know, right? Because like I've done weddings in Park City before, where like I charge like $500, and thinking that, like, I'm kind of cringing when I send him that price. I send him the invoice. And I'm like, are they gonna pay it? Are they gonna push back on me or something? And like they pay it that instant,
Yeah.
and don't ask me any questions. I'm like, dag nabbit. I should have charged more, right? And I get up there and like, it's like they're paying the DJ like six figures, like to be there, right? I'm like, I should have charged more, So same thing when I told him like the $250, now I'm starting to think like I probably should have charged more for this gig. So I messaged him back though. I'm like, I've got my own bagpipes. And I guess if Tony wants to buy those from me, I'll sell him my Highland bagpipes for $5,000. Thinking to myself, I don't want to give these up anyway, so I'll price him out of it. And if he says yes, fine, I'll buy some Athertons, like whatever.
You seriously said $5,000?
Yeah, I said $5,000. And he was like,
and your pipes are not like silver, they're not engraved,
no,
they're just imitation.
Plain vanilla, cracked
2001.
mounts. Yeah, just very basic.
Bro, that was bold.
Yeah, well,
I
was like, he pays it and I get a bunch of money, or he says no and I keep my bagpipes, whatever.
I love it.
And he's just like, okay, great, see you tomorrow. I'm like, oh man, maybe I should have asked for more for my bagpipes, So I go to bed. So I did have to get up. I had to get up at like 4 a.m. because then I was like, well, what time do you want me there? And is it a surprise, right? This happens to any gigging piper, right? Like if this is a surprise, then I'm gonna need to like warm up somewhere else and stuff like that. And he's like, yeah, it's going to be a surprise for some people, but not for everybody. Can you be there by sunrise? Doesn't give me a time, I was like, yeah, but like what time? He's like, sunrise. We want you ready to go at sunrise. So I look up what time sunrise is at that time of the year. And the mountains up there make it so it kind of delays a little bit. I don't know. It was like 6 a.m.
It gets light, but the sun doesn't
yeah, exactly.
crest because of the mountains.
So I was like, yeah, it looks like sunrise is going to be, I can't remember, like 6:10 a.m. or something like that. He's like, yeah, that'll be great. So I had to get up at like 4 a.m. to get ready, drive up there and everything. He gives me the address. So I get up there, and it's kind of like, it's up in the mountains. It's like you go up a canyon from Orem, where I live, right? You go up a canyon into the next valley over, and then you go up some mountains, and then there's like, at one point I had to turn off of the road as it's still going on an incline, so I'm not quite yet over into the next valley. And I'm going up kind of into increasingly private areas, right? Yeah. I'm increasingly deep into the forest, nearly on top of a mountain, right? And it's not like the middle of nowhere. It's paved, there are streetlights, stuff like that. But like definitely there's a lot of room between the houses.
It's not downtown. It's not where the resorts are. It's
right. Yep. And like the houses are nice, and they're also, very far separated from each other. Like these are houses on large pieces of land, multi-million-dollar houses for sure. So nice area, but also kind of like...
Just kidding.
What's that?
I said so a condo?
Yeah, at this point, right? Yeah. This was a few years ago.
Okay.
So I'm out there in the middle of nowhere. So by the time I get to where this house is, there are no street lights is what I'm getting at, right? These houses are really far apart and they're woods and everything, right? So it's super dark. And so I get to what my phone says is the address, but I can't see a house, right? Mm-hmm. But as I keep kind of like driving along slowly along the tree line, a gate emerges, right? And I'm like, oh, the house must be like further down in the property. So there's this just gate in the middle of the trees. So I stop there and I turn the car off and I'm just sitting there. I'm like, so I guess I'll text Donnie, right? And see like, am I at the right place? Where should I go from here? So as I'm getting my phone out to text him, suddenly there's a knock on the door. And it freaks me out because it's totally like I turned the car off, right? It's like totally dark. Freaks me out. So knock on the door and immediately a flashlight comes on, just shining right at me, right? And so it made me jump and I was kind of shaking a little bit. Like I didn't think I was going to die or anything,
Yeah.
Though I did ask my wife, I was like, before I left, I've got a very, very small handgun that would fit into my sport. And I was like, should I? She was like, no, don't. You can't,
You're not going to win
don't
against
invite
Tony
problems.
and
Right, exactly, yeah. So, I rolled the window down. It's a security guard. He's like, what are you doing here? I was like, oh, okay. This is going to sound crazy. And I realized at that point, like, I didn't get any last names, I'm like, well, a guy named Donnie texted me and said that a guy named Tony wanted bagpipes at sunrise. And the guy's like, just a sec. And he walks away from the car and he like gets on a radio. You know, he's like, got this guy here, you know, playing bagpipes, you know, talking in his radio. He comes back, he's like, okay, we're expecting you. Stay here for a minute.
I wasn't, but they are.
Right. And so I sat there for a minute. And eventually they come and get me and they take me over to the gate and there are a few more security guards there and they have me do like this like sign in thing.
Yeah, like empty your sporn.
Yeah, they did want to see.
Handguns.
Right, exactly. Yeah. No, they didn't like pat search me or anything like that, but they did have like they got out a tablet and had me like put in a kind of a lot of personal information. You know, like nothing they could hunt me down with, but plenty to be able to find me if they needed to, and took photos of me as well. And then said, okay, now stand over here for a bit, you know, as that's like being processed. And then they kind of get like this green light, I guess, from somebody inside, and like, okay, you can go in now. Donnie's gonna meet you around back. So then I get led down this really long driveway, and I'm a little bit worried that like as I tell this story, I will miss details and then remember them and try to go back. So I'll try to do this as chronologically as I can, and you feel free to jump in with questions if anything seems unclear.
Oh, yeah. So are they walking you down, or you get to drive your car?
No, I had to leave the car there. No, actually, no, I'm wrong. They said you can drive your car down on this little side path to what used to be like a horse. It looked like it was like a horse corral of some kind. It was like sandy on the inside and had like a horse fence around it. Like you can park in there, and then there's a security guard was walking along my car as I drove down there. So when I park and get out, he's like, come with me this way. And they take me around back of the house. And I did notice as I was going down, like there is a black SUV like set up as if it were ready to go. And later I find out that's exactly what it is, right? It's like just always ready to go, always with a man inside. It's like bulletproof windows, stuff like that. Like
that's cool.
Just like a what would you call it? Like
a bug out vehicle?
A bug out vehicle, yeah. So anyway, I go to the back of the house, and the house is set up.
I think bug stands for backup gun, honestly.
Really? Backup gun?
I think, well, because I'm thinking like, because I do some shooting competitions, and they have like a bug out competition, and it's supposed to be like you're concealed, like your backup gun, right?
Huh.
Like, so now that I say,
I hear that phrase bug out, and I just think like grab your water and run. You know?
So maybe I'm just wondering if that was the improper use of bug out vehicle, backup gun out vehicle.
I don't know. It could be, but I definitely have heard people refer to like I've got some first aid kit backpacks. You know, that have like food and small blankets and stuff, and those are like referred to as a bug out kit.
All right, so maybe
I think you're probably right.
Sure, whatever.
So I go to this house. It's a nice house. I haven't gone inside yet, right? And everything's still dark, right? So I'm getting the impression though of a large house in the middle of the woods. We're kind of go down this little hill, go around behind it, and it's sitting on a lake, and the stars are still out. Like, and it's a beautiful scene. Like the lake is reflecting the stars, and like on the other side of the lake, there's another house. You know, it's like that's how close the neighbors are. Like they're sharing a lake. Yeah. You know.
I've got in my mind like this vision of like Great Gatsby, like with the green.
That's exactly now. That's exactly. So I haven't seen the more recent film, the Great Gatsby film. I did read
Leonardo.
the book right with Leonardo. But I've seen some clips, right? And that is exactly the image that came into my mind as I walked around. Not Gatsby's party, but the Gatsby's party happened last night, and the maids haven't been in to clean up yet. That's what the back area looks like, right? So like not only is there a lake, but there's like a fake sandy beach has been put in, you know. And on the next to the sandy beach, there's like a stone food service thing. So it's like made to look beautiful, but you can imagine a whole line of chefs lined up there, you know, cooking food and serving and stuff like that. And in the middle of it, there's this gas-fired fireplace. Could be used for cooking, could be used for just keeping warm, anything, right? But it was broken. And so there's just flames shooting out the side of it, rocketing into the sky. Just like this gas torch that I guess had been burning all night, you know, just burning off the side of this lake. So great. And so by the eerie flickering light of this crazy fireplace thing, right, I'm seeing, you know, like my eyes are adjusting as it were as I come around the corner of the house, and I look over the house itself, and I can see like, oh yeah, it's like 3-4 stories up high because we're on the back of this hill now, right? So it's this huge house. I can see by some dim lights inside, like there's definitely an indoor pool on the lower level, and it's like a very nice house. And there's just like wine bottles and like what do you call these? Napkins. Right? Serviettes. just detritus all over the lawn, just all over the place. And mostly a lot of bottles, but a lot of other stuff too. And also candles. Just like so many candles, hundreds, maybe even thousands of candles, you know, not burning anymore, right? Just like melted down, candles. Just like piles of wax, you know.
If one jettison flame from a broken fire pit isn't enough,
Yeah, right,
There's
exactly.
candles.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, that's right. So this crazy like aftermath of what looks like must have been a really good time, right? And then I noticed there's a dude asleep, I hope, on the dock that goes out into the lake. He had a sleeping bag, so it's probably on purpose. I don't know. It's like, oh, okay, like this is where I am. Like this is not a normal gig, right? And at that point, the security guard turns around and goes back to his post. So I'm standing there by myself, just like looking around, taking this all in, and like thinking
6 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah, it's still dark, like maybe the rosy fingers of dawn are just beginning to climb over the edges of the hills, right? But it's still pretty dark. And so I'm just standing there for a minute, taking it all in, being like, this is surreal, Anything that early in the morning is surreal, isn't it? You ever get up like really early to fish or something? You're like, is this real life? Like, what's going on here?
I remember side tangent, dude. I remember coming home in high school at like 2 in the morning, like on a Friday night or something. But it was a full moon, and I could see outside as bright as bright as like 9 o'clock in the evening, like where the sun had just gone down in the summer. It was so bright. It was so cool. But yeah, I know exactly what you mean on like that ethereal type.
Yeah, it was. So you can imagine this experience like adding on to that, right? Just being I did I die? Like what is this? Maybe I'm still dreaming. So then this guy Donnie comes out, really cool guy, very very friendly and really nice. He's like, hey, great, thanks for coming. So glad you came, man. Tony and I last night we saw your listing and we tried calling you first. I didn't realize you tried calling me. I was like, if this guy answers, he's our guy. And I was like, oh, sorry, I didn't answer your call. He's like, that's all right. You got back to me with the text. Everything's fine. All right. So here's what we're gonna do. I want you to, so Tony doesn't like alarm clocks, right? So you're going to be his alarm clock. I'm like, all right. And like, judge me justifiably for the like stereotypes that are in my head, right? But I'm all along, since the Tony doesn't like to wait how much for bagpipes, from that point, Tony in my mind is Fat Tony from The Simpsons. Okay, that's the picture that I have in my mind. And Donnie is like... He doesn't look like one of Fat Tony's cronies, so like that's changed a little bit for me, He's more like just like a really nice bro, But still, it's Fat Tony asleep somewhere in the house who doesn't like alarm clocks, so I'm gonna be his alarm clock, right? So I tell Donnie. So I says to Donnie, I'm like, all right, well listen, I gotta like get these ready. Like, do you want him to sound good when I play them? Because I'm thinking like, oh, to wake him up, I could just make noise, So I don't have to like tune him necessarily. He's like,
be like the Droning On podcast intro.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that'll wake him up. So I tell him, I'm like, if you want to sound pretty, I got to kind of get him ready, So do you want me to like go away from the house to get him ready, or should I just like go right into it? He's like, no, just go right into it. It'll be fine. I was like, okay. So I get up my pipes, and he's like, all right, come around this way. Tony's bedroom is over here. So he takes me around like. Do we? Take your time.
I'm never gonna make it through this.
Do you need another wing? You want to have another wing real quick to calm your nerves?
At what point do you wake up the guy on the dock? Have we passed that part yet?
Oh no, yeah, he hasn't woken up yet.
Okay.
The guy on the dock is still out cold. For all I know, dead. But yeah, definitely we find out later he's alive. So
okay, keep going.
He's okay. So Donnie leads me around the house to like this like lower room that's like down on the ground level underneath like this. I want to say the word gondola, but that's not right because that's like a boat, like pergola.
A gazebo?
Yeah, like a gazebo, but it's like sticking out from the house. So it's like an outdoor area that's kind of indoor. And so you go into that,
like an awning?
And then it's like an awning sticking out from the house. And inside of that, there are some windows from rooms of the house facing, toward that awning area. One of them opens into the indoor pool. One of them opens into this bedroom. It's dark in there. I didn't know it was a bedroom, but he tells me that's Tony's room right there. He's like whispering to me now, right? There's like a ramp, like a skating ramp, like something you see at a skate park that leads up to the window, so like people could go in and out of it easily. Look, I'm not making this up. There's a kayak laying face down off to one side of the window, which isn't that crazy because there's a lake right there. But it's like the way that it's laying there looks like someone like rowed up to the window, like as in row, like
yeah. Paddled their way up to the window.
Like they paddled their way up to the window. So it's like this so it's what is the juxtaposition of things, right? I've got this skateboard ramp that goes up to the window. I've got the kayak, or maybe it was a paddleboard actually, one or the other, sitting there off to the side. Again, some wine bottles here and there, stuff like that. Plenty of burnt out candles, and then a cauldron, like a witch's cauldron, like a big black cauldron.
Is there anything in this?
Bunch of old melted candles is all. Yeah, just like a bunch of old wax in the cauldron. And so this is the scene that I'm standing in, right? And he's like, "Okay, go for it." And I was like, "Just play. Do you care what I play?" He's like, "Nah, just do your thing. Make some music." I was like, "All right,
express yourself."
Express yourself, right? So I strike in, cold, and honestly, it might be that my mind was on other things, but to my memory, my pipes came in singing. Just
sweet,
like beautifully, like strike in, and like I usually break down my bass drone to put stuff away, not my tenors. I must have put it back right in the right spot. The drones come right in, and this is like cold in the morning, different altitude and everything. It's probably, I would guess that this place is probably pushing 6,000 feet above sea level there.
Oh, in Park City, I would think at least, yeah.
Well, and especially because this is above Park City. It's up above. So we're anyway.
I think the base. Let me put it this way. I think. I'm gonna totally screw this up. I think the base of Sundance is like 10.5 something.
No way, really?
I could be totally off.
I always have a hard time with altitude. I know that here in Utah Valley we're like somewhere around 5,000 square feet, or
I must be
5,000 feet.
Okay, so Park City is 6,890.
Oh, okay. So we probably are over 7,000 feet up at this place because it is up higher than that anyway. Yeah, altitude throws me off as well. I have a hard time remembering what's where. Anyway, it's remarkable that the pipes sounded good at all. Is all I'm trying to say. Temperature, everything was off, right?
Okay.
But they came in great.
Yeah, the base at Sundance is 61.
Okay.
Oh, it's totally off. Okay.
Oh well.
Yeah, that makes sense because Timpanogos is only like just under 12.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I was kind of weirded out. I don't remember exactly what I played, though. I'm pretty sure I tried my hand at the Kansas City Hornpipe by Fred Morrison because I'd been learning that tune at the time. His Highland pipe version on the Outlands album, he plays it on Uilleann pipes, but in his book he has like a Highland pipe version of it. So I'm pretty sure that's what I struck into. Played that for a minute, and then as I've been playing for a few minutes, a face comes to the window, and this is Tony. Doesn't look a thing like Fat Tony from The Simpsons.
Describe Tony.
Tony is like slim, pretty muscly, like pretty fit, nothing like Fat Tony, pretty fit. Definitely of some, like to my eyes, definitely not an Italian guy, probably I would have thought like, no, this guy's probably he's probably from some sort of like Asian descent, possibly some Pacific Islands, possibly something like that, right? But definitely not an Italian guy, right? Shaved head, wearing nothing but like briefs, just in his briefs. Like so far from Fat Tony from The Simpsons, That's what I get for stereotyping based off of the name Tony and
that's all right.
And expectations. But so that's Tony. He stands there for a few minutes and just kind of glares at me. Doesn't react
through
at all.
Through the window, from his bedroom.
Oh, the window's wide open. There's no glass between us.
Okay.
He's just standing in the window frame looking at me, And then he turns and disappears into the darkness. And I kind of like, as I'm playing, I turn to Donnie. I'm like, should I keep playing? He's like, yeah, keep playing for a minute. So I keep playing for a minute. I think somebody else woke up inside and start seeing a few lights go on and stuff like that. So then I stop. I'm trying to remember exactly how this happens then. I think Donnie took me around to the front of the house. And we go in the front of the house, and as we're coming in, Tony comes up from downstairs, comes up the stairs. And at that point, he's like laughing and smiling. He's like, that was great, man. That was really cool. I love waking up like that. That was a lot of fun. You did good job. And then he's like, okay, now here's what we're going to do. And he says something to Donnie that I couldn't hear exactly. He's like, okay, she's in here. So I don't know who he's talking about, but he's like, she's in this room right here, right?
Yeah.
He's pointing at a door, like a bedroom door. He's like, she's in there. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go in there first. You start playing, and we're going to do a parade around her bed. Over and over again, okay? Are you ready? You ready? You got a song ready? Here we go. And so I strike in, and he tries to open the door, but it's locked. And he's like, it's locked. And Donnie's like, it was probably smart of her to lock it. And so I'm just still standing there playing.
She knows your personality too
right.
well.
So I'm still playing, and Tony just starts banging on the door like crazy to wake this person up. And this nice lady comes out, and she's like, understandably confused.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm confused just listening to it.
Then kind of like laughing and smiling and stuff. And so I play a little bit and then I stop and she laughs and it's like, that was great. That was awesome. And so then I was like, all right, well, anything else you guys want? And Tony's like, yeah, just go down by the lake and play. Wake the whole house up. And so I just go down by the lake and I stood there and played for a really long time, honestly. Like, and it was really lovely in a lot of ways. Still kind of surreal, but like, it's still pretty dark at that point, like starting to get light. And I just go out there and I post up and I start playing. And I just played as the sun came up. And like as the shafts of sunlight are hitting the water, I see like there are like some newts swimming around in the water and stuff. It's just kind of serene. Just kind of enjoyed myself at that point. And yeah, that was at some point between me playing down by the lake and the sun coming up. The guy who was asleep on the dock woke up and like suddenly sits bolt upright, like hair crazy and everything. Like looked very confused, kind of wild, one eye bigger than the other and stuff. Like what's going on? And but he came and talked to me afterward. He's like, look. He was like, that was the most beautiful experience I've ever had in my life, which I wouldn't have thought based on the way that he sat up. But he said, the thing is, he said, I woke up before I sat up. When I sat up, that's when I realized I was alive. He said, I thought that I had died. Because
your spirit piped to heaven.
Right, exactly. He's like, is this it? Is this it? Like, what happened? Because, like, you can imagine him laying there, like, the sounds of nature, then bagpipes, and, like, if you're, like, coming out of sleep and, like, the sun's coming up, you got, like, aspen trees above you and stuff like that. I can imagine thinking that.
That is the greatest comment
you've
ever received as a piper.
It definitely is.
So beautiful, I thought I'd died.
Yeah, yep. So, so that's what I did that morning is I just played for a really long time, and I did have an appointment later in the morning. I'd been there a lot longer than I thought I would be. It's, like, getting to be mid-morning, and I'm still playing. So, as I'm playing, a surprisingly large number of people and like a really varied cast of people too. It's like you got 20-somethings and you got some people who could be in their 60s and people who are clearly from all corners of the globe are coming out of this house kind of in ones and twos throughout the morning as that sun's coming up. Eventually Tony comes out, not wearing pants, still just in his briefs, right? But why not? It's his place. Do what he wants, right? And he starts building a bonfire. Never mind about the gas fire that's still, through all of this, still rocketing into the heavens, Never mind that torch, right? He starts building a bonfire on the beach. And, like, it's interesting that, like, there's clearly plenty of wealth here, but he's cooking his breakfast on the bonfire. Leftover potatoes from the night before or something like that, right? Yeah. But it's getting pretty big, too. It's, like, a pretty darn big fire. And every once in a while he throws something on it that really makes it, like, flare up a lot. I don't know if it was...
we call that gas, James.
Yeah, it might have just been gas. I don't know exactly, right? Yeah. But like as he's doing that, more people are coming out, and it's just lovely. And so like I'm on the opposite side of the lake from them, kind of like playing to them across the lake. And so as I'm playing, I'll get texts from Donnie every once in a while, being like, "Hey, can you do some Beatles songs? Hey, can you like just
I don't think you know how pipes work.
Sure, yeah. So like I'm just getting little requests and stuff like that here, and they're just playing throughout the morning, and people are coming out and they're having breakfast and stuff like that. So I finally text Donnie. I'm like, "Look, man, I got to be done now. I got a heart out, And he's like, "Oh yeah, that's fine. Come over here and talk to Tony for a minute before you go." So I walk around the lake over to Tony, and we're talking for a couple minutes. He's a really nice guy. He's just like, "Hey, that was really cool, man." And then like Donnie says like, after we've been talking for a minute, like I told Donnie I needed to go, and Donnie says to Tony, he's like, "Hey, he's got to go. Like he's got a heart out. He's got to go. Like he's got a hard, like 10:30 meeting or whatever time it was, right?" And Tony looks at Donnie, he's like, "I don't know what that means." And I was like, "Well, I do, and I gotta go."
In my world, there's no hard outs.
Right, exactly, yeah. And so then he turns to me and he's like, "Don't you have some bagpipes for me?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah. I mean, here we go, So I got out my small pipes and my twist trap pipes and my highland pipes, and I lay them all out on like this breakfast table that was there. Like I cleared some of the stuff left over from the night before, and I lay them all out. And he's like, I'm telling him the differences between them and stuff like that. He's like, cool. All right, cool. I want to try them out. So I set him up with my highland pipes, like me with Tony, him still in his briefs on the edge of this lake with the flames shooting out behind him, and I'm setting him up with my pipes, like, which honestly, like, I'd been playing for a couple hours at that point. Like, there's a lot of spit in my pipes and stuff like that. Like, I think my blowpipe maybe dribbled a little bit on his leg. Like, it's a rather suddenly intimate scene. Dude,
pipes are the most sanitary instruments out there.
Oh, for sure.
We all know.
Yeah. So he's like, and he does the same thing everybody does when they're like trying pipes, right? He's like kind of contorting his body and squeezing them, trying to get some sort of noise out of him. He's like, "That's cool, man. That's cool. All right. So how much for all of them?" And I was like, I could get you better stuff, He's like, fine, whatever. Sell me these and then sell me some more. I want you to post up here on my lawn. I want you to teach people how to play bagpipes. Like whenever they want to come by, I want you to teach them how to play bagpipes. So get more. You'll need more of these. I was like, oh, okay. I don't know what this guy's plans are. Like, okay, sure. So I did. And again, I told him, I was like, I don't remember what I said. I said like 7,800 or something for like all of the pipes. Yeah. Right. And he's like, sure, cool. And get me 6 more of these. I don't know if he said 5, 6, 7. He said some number. 6 more of these, points at my highland pipes.
Multiples of pipes.
And then he's like, get me another dozen of these, points at the twist trap pipes, and get me, I don't know, 4 or 5 of the others. I'm like, great, I'm this guy's bagpipe dealer now, Like, you bet. I was like, can I take these ones home with me tonight so I can, like, take care of them and stuff? He's like, sure, take them home tonight or leave them here. You'll be back. And I was like, all right.
I own you.
That was the feeling all along, right? Like, you're mine now, right?
Yeah.
Which also is like, do I like this? Maybe that's fine, I think that covers pretty much everything that happened that first morning. So then I leave, and like that's when I called you, and I was like, dude, I gotta like debrief. This was weird, like let me tell you all about this.
And you don't know who Tony is at this point.
I still don't know who Tony is.
I remember being on the phone with you, and you're like, I don't know, like Tony, and like not to sound.
I still didn't have his last name.
Maybe Asian descent, like I don't know.
Right? Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Money.
Yep. He's got money. That's all I know. Yep. Yep. That's it. So I go back home, and like, of course, I wasn't like, give me my check before I leave or anything like that. I'm like, these guys are good for the money. I'll just leave now. So I go back home, and I guess I don't remember exactly how, but I guess Donnie probably reached out to me again, like that evening or the next day or something. And this started a very regular thing. Like I was going up there. I think I only did like one more thing at sunrise because I think some of their neighbors might have complained. But I was going up there most evenings for like, it seems like it was probably 3 months. Maybe it was 2.5, 3. So somewhere in there. Like between 8 and 12 weeks. I was going up there most evenings for like 4 to 6 hours. And so like the first time I get up there, now it's light and I can see stuff better and everything, right? And like over time I get to know the security staff. Yeah. And so then like I don't have to do as much of a check-in thing.
And Friday is Caribbean lobster night.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. That was one good night. It's like, yeah, and maybe that's the thing to do now is like just some of the highlights that stand out, right? It's like sometimes I would go up there and like.
Well, I know a little bit, so let me pose some questions. Sure. You can fill in gaps where I missed up.
Yeah.
So tell me about this Caribbean lobster.
So that was pretty funny. So there's a full staff in the kitchen at all times, and like that's one of the nice things. Whenever I'm up there, they're always like, "You want something?" And they don't mean like a granola bar, like these are like serious chefs, and there are several of them like waiting for something to do until the next meal time, And so one of them, I don't know if he. Maybe it was Haitian. I have a hard time with accents to know for sure. Is that a Jamaican accent or a Haitian accent or what, right? But so he has a lovely accent, sort of like what I think of as like a classic accent, and he comes out to me, and we had talked before. He'd made me some good food and stuff like that, and we chatted a little bit. He comes out, I'm playing in the front yard, because this was a deal. Tony was like, I just want you to like play, just like wander around, play for a bit, whatever, So I'm in the front yard, just kind of like playing. And in fact, I think when people would show up for dinner, a lot of times I'd go out to the gate and I would pipe them in just for fun. Like I was kind of looking for stuff to do, honestly. At some point, it's like, well, what do I do now?
Drill your competition stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, go through a lot of stuff, right? So they're getting ready for dinner. So maybe I was out front for that. Anyway, he comes out front to me and he's like, "Hey," and I should not try to imitate the accent, but imagine this like Sebastian from The Little Mermaid, right? He comes out and he's like, "Hey, they're telling me in the kitchen that I'm killing these lobsters in the wrong way, that I'm killing them in an inhumane way." I'm not a cook. I don't know if that means he was boiling them or if he was
he's like, let me run this past you.
What. Right. But he comes out, he's like, they're telling me that I'm doing this in an inhumane way. So will you come in here and play them Amazing Grace to send them off right? And I was like, yeah, why not, So, you can imagine what kind of beautiful kitchen this huge mansion has. So I'm standing in this amazing kitchen with very busy chefs all around me, probably with official titles, sous chef and head chef and all this other stuff. Like very busy getting dinner ready for a whole bunch of people. And they always overcooked for, more people who are going to be there, right? Very busy. I'm in the corner of this fancy kitchen. I strike up my Highland pipes and play Amazing Grace while the dude kills lobsters. And then it was like, and then it was like, thanks. And I just go back outside and play some more somewhere else, and they carry on with their business. And that, but the thing is, that was at that point.
You're like, I was normal.
Yeah, why not? Of course I did that. You know, like it's hard. In fact, it's hard even now. Like that first day, it's hard for me to like mentally recapture the craziness of it. You know, because like at some point, like one day I got there and there were statues of dinosaurs. Like really impressive statues of dinosaurs in the back, like raptors, I think.
Okay.
And
just showed up.
They were just there. I didn't know how they got there, right? And this was after, like, there's an artist. I could look it up. I'll put it in the show notes. In fact, there's an artist who I think is a Nevada local, who had done a bunch of these like really cool statues, where he would like make, it's like a flower. One of them was a flower. One of them was like a rattlesnake. One of them was an octopus. The octopus was really cool. They're really big, and he does like kind of a mosaic tiling on the outside of them. So it's like plaster, and then he covers them with the coloring of the statue is done with like this mosaic tiling. Really cool statues. I show up one day, and those statues are there. They're like on the lawn, and like the octopus one. I mean, like, I don't know, just gauging from memory, like the center, like the head of the octopus was taller than me. You know, it's probably like 8 or 10 feet tall. And like the tentacles reach out, you know, the span from the end of one to the other is probably 20, 25 feet. These like massive art installations are just showing up from one day to the next. Like suddenly there's all this stuff, you know? And so, yeah, like at one point there were these raptors in the backyard, and they had like corn cobs in their mouths. And I look around and there's like a pile of watermelons. You know, and I'm not very good at gauging, like counting jelly beans in a jar, you know, or anything like that. But again, the pile was big. You know, it's probably like, figure a pyramid-ish pile of watermelons, probably like 12, 15 feet wide. It's just stacked high of watermelons. Oh, I was like, what's going on here? And when I go inside, eventually, because I'm, you know, piping my way around, there's like a whole farmer's market inside. And one of the security guys, who at this point I'm friends with, right, is like, oh yeah, Tony wanted like some fresh produce. So he called like the farmer's market. And they brought like 3 trucks of produce. And it's just like boxes of just like peaches and potatoes and stuff just lined up all around the living room and the kitchen and everything, and all down in the backyard. And he's like, dude, earlier they had like a trebuchet or a catapult or something. They were shooting watermelons into the lake. Right? Like that night when I left, as I was leaving, I was like, Donnie, can I take some watermelons? He's like, yeah, sure. You know, it's like I leave with like my arms full of watermelons. I love watermelon. You know, I was really excited about that. One night, these lizard handlers show up to install some iguanas. Like Tony just wanted some iguanas in the entryway, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So like that kind of thing is happening all the time, right? At one point, the head of security walks past me, and he's like muttering to himself. So I don't know exactly what he was saying, but something about an alligator in the lake. You know, these kinds of requests are like, this is constant, you know? And so like recapturing just what was weird and how weird was it does get a little bit funny at this point, you know?
But don't reveal Tony. But at what point did you figure out who Tony was? Day 1, day 2, a weekend?
Let's see. No, I'd been up there a few times before I figured it out, but I definitely knew who he was before like I stopped going up there.
Yeah, that's fine. Tell me when you got the sticky note and that whole business.
Yeah, the sticky note thing. Like any rich person has a right to be eccentric, right?
Yeah.
Tony was definitely that in spades,
lake,
man. Yeah. So like he didn't like 8.5 by 11 papers, right? He didn't like electronic communications.
He doesn't like alarm clocks.
Doesn't like alarm clocks, right? A lot of preferences here. But so everything, the system was sticky notes. So like windows, walls would be just covered in sticky notes. And I think that there was like a method to this madness. Like I think there was actually a system behind it. I never quite learned what the system was. But yeah, I think this was on the first day. When he first told me, put your stuff on sticky notes up there, and so people will know where to go to learn how to play bagpipes. I didn't, like, what would you do with that? Like, what does that mean? You know, what does that even mean? He says that to me like I should know what that means, you know?
Right.
So eventually, yes, I do figure out that like people are like basically leaving like not just notes to each other, but like resumes, like job resumes on sticky notes. Like all kinds of information is being passed around via sticky notes. So I find a patch of window and I like draw a bagpipe on a sticky note, put it up, write my name on another sticky note, put it underneath that, write like, come learn to play bagpipes on the lawn if you see me out there. Put it up there. I think I wrote something like, request any tune you want anytime. I'll give it a special name just for you. Something like that. Because that's a lot of what I was doing is like, there'd be like people on a canoe out in the lake, right? And I'd like be like, this one's called the Leaky Canoe, and I'd just strike in and play like Minstrel Boy or something, right? Like I'd be like going around, like there'd be a guest there, I'd be like, what's your name? Nathan. All right, this one's called Nathan's March. Come on, Nathan, and we'd like march around the living room. I played like just filling my time, right? But like trying to like involve people somehow, and Tony seemed to like that, so I kept doing it. You know what I mean? Gotta please the boss, you know.
Now, at some point, you get a sticky note, and you're told it's a contract.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Someone handed me a sticky note, and it's like, this is the contract. Take it to the court. What is it? What are they called? The court reporters. It's like the court reporters. He had a room in the lower level of the house where there were a half dozen court reporters at like all times. And by court reporters, these are the people with the special keyboards, you know, so they can type like shorthand.
Yeah.
Take that to them, right? And like I had an inkling that there was somebody like that somewhere, because I'd see him going in and out of the house, right? But it always seemed like there was a lot of business going on down there. Turns out it's just like this room, and they're like, sometimes they have assignments, sometimes they don't. They're just like all contracted just to be on hand in case something like this happens, right?
Okay.
So I go in there with this, and I was like, this room of court reporters, and I'm like, I have this sticky note, and they're like, we know what to do with that, you know, like, oh yes, come in, right? Like this happens to them all the time or something, right? So I take a sticky note to one of them, and they're like, all right, they start asking me questions, and they're putting together like basically a resume, you know. So let's see, I'm trying to not mix the timeline up. At one point, let's see, what was it? I can't remember if that sticky note came before or after. One night, some of the things that Tony had been having delivered were musical instruments. So he had a really nice piano. So one of those, it's a grand piano, but it's got electric components as well. Okay. So there's a screen on it, and you can set it to autoplay. So not only will it play beautiful music, but it'll actually pull its own keys down accurately, so you can like watch the music being played. It's really, really fun, but you can also play it. You can set it so that no matter what key you press, when you press it, it plays the next part of the song that's up on the screen.
Just like amazing. Like that. You just pound on the keys.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. And that's what we did. One night, everybody kind of ends up spontaneously gathering in the living room before going outside for dinner. And it's like, it's this lovely gathering of just like a ton of eccentric, happy people. You know, really, like, this is bizarre, but also like a beautiful way to live. Like, what a lovely community. Like, everybody's just so happy. And anyway, so this one person who I got to know a little bit gets out a cello. She had a cello. She gets out a cello. She starts playing her cello. One of Tony's regular guests was this really good musician that I think was maybe friends with his brother or something like that, who I had tried to kind of like jam with before on the pipes and stuff. He was such a good musician. He could do it. You know, he could work within the weird confines of bagpipes. And by the way, at this point, I am using big pipes, small pipes, even tin whistles sometimes. I'm taking everything up there every time I go, just for variety. I'm there for like 4 or 5, maybe 6 hours.
But this is also quintessentially you, right?
I guess.
I know 9 notes. That's it.
That's true.
I couldn't play a tin whistle, recorder. I couldn't play a dog whistle. You know what I'm saying? But James Moyer is very much like small pipes and organ and great pipes.
Yeah.
And tin whistle.
And... I'll own that I'm a jack of many, but probably not a master of any. Is the thing, you know? So you know, I've got maybe kind of a spread out.
I would definitely classify you as a musician more than myself.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thanks. I appreciate that. I'd classify you as a bagpiper much more than I would myself. So take that as a compliment for yourself. Put one in your own pocket. But that was the thing, is like some of the instruments that are showing up are things I know how to play. You know, they're just getting some like glockenspiels and some trumpets and some didgeridoos, and so like I was able to hop on these other instruments as well. And so like we're having kind of a good time, right? And one night everybody's gathering into the living room, and so it's like we got the gal on the cello. Tony sits down at the piano and pulls up. We did a few songs. I remember Great Balls of Fire in particular. Right? Because, and like we're passing around trumpets and guitars and violins. Oh, and by the way, this is mid-COVID, right? But why not, right? One of the things that Tony has pretty quickly is a on-site COVID testing station. So every time I get there, I'd just go prick my finger and they'd do a test for me. And, you know, I'd hang out for 20 minutes while they ran the test and then say, yeah, you're clear, go in. And so we are passing around instruments, but also we've all literally just barely been tested for COVID. And so we got guys on violin, guitar, people are singing along and everything, and I've got my pipes out, and so we played Great Balls of Fire, and Tony's like playing at the piano, you know, or pretending to play at the piano. And it was like every time we got to the chorus, goodness gracious, Great Balls of Fire, I bring in the pipes, like luckily it was in the right key. It was like kind of close. It was like horrible but hilarious, you know. So like in the aftermath of the glow of like this really fun scene, and this is after I can't remember how many weeks of going up there quite a bit. Like I've got to know most of the people there, right? That's when, as we're all walking down to dinner, Tony, as we're walking down there, is like, "Hey man, I want to talk to you. You know, like this is a cool place.
This is define the relationship moment.
It is, yeah,
He's gonna ask you to move in.
Yep. That's exactly right.
I know where the story's going. That's why.
Yeah. He's like, so here's the deal. Here's what we do up here. You know, like basically just find your best W-2 that you've ever got, however much money you've ever got in your life, in 1 year. You know, the best rate you've ever had. I'll pay you double that on a contract basis to just hang out here. And I was like, wait a minute, you know, what do you mean?
Right.
He's like, no, this is what I want to do. I'm trying to set up like a community, you know, and you fit in, and I want you to be up here. And so I think that's when he handed me the Post-it note.
Okay.
I can't remember exactly because we're on our way down to dinner.
Here's your contract.
Yeah, basically, right. But we're heading down to dinner, and he has me sit down with this gal who's like the new like HR person for the community, for the property. Turns out it's the same lady that I woke up on that first morning. That was her.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so she's like, we've met before, you know?
Yeah.
And so she's like, yeah. So Tony's kind of big picture. So I'll help you take care of like the actual like paperwork and stuff like that. So I think I had the Post-it note already at that point, but she's like, what else do you do? I was telling her like, you know, my normal day job, I was a construction contractor at the time and stuff like that. She's like, we need somebody like that, you know? Because they wanted to. So then Donnie comes over and they start talking. They're like, we want to build a castle for the families that come up here so their kids can play in it, but we want it to be big enough that the parents can go play in it with the kids too and have fun as well. We want a tree house, but like a serious tree house, like a really cool tree house, like with electricity and plumbing and stuff. We want a sweat lodge, you know, like they're telling me all this stuff as if I can make this stuff. I'm like, you know, hang on a sec, you know, like I bid for jobs. I don't swing hammers, you know, like I'm the nerd with the spreadsheets, you know, but I'm like, I can make at this point, I understand these guys have money and they give you the wish list. And you make it happen, right? That's all that really matters. Like I can make these things happen, right? So we're talking about like other stuff other than bagpipes as well. So I go, yeah. Then after that, I think I went to the court reporter and we started setting stuff up. If I remember right, it was something like that.
So now, how does this all fizzle out?
Well, okay. So there, I guess.
Well, so and there's a few things that you brought up to me that not on the podcast, but like I remember you were giving them pushback and like because they were like, move up here.
Yes.
Move in.
Yeah.
You're like, I got a
not even into the
family.
house. He was like, here's my land. You can develop part of the land if you want. You know, I'll give you this money and you can just like build a house on my land, you know? But yeah, you're right. I was like, well, my wife was expecting at the time with our fourth kid. I was like, I need like health insurance and stuff like that. Right. And then he was like, I'll pay you double. I was like, okay, I could probably afford my own insurance at that point, you know? You know? But yeah, I keep pushing back on him. Yeah, absolutely. Because like from that first day when he said like, you'll be coming back up here, this is what he had in mind, right? Was that like, I would live there, you know? And to be fair, there were families there, you know, there were kids there a lot of times, you know? And so it definitely was like a pretty darn family friendly place, you know, like Tony himself, like, and a lot of his friends, like they had some eccentric ideas about various things, including health. There seems to be a prevalent idea that place that like, is it nitrous oxide that's the agent that puts out like in like whipped cream? They'll make like the pressurized gas in it.
Like I don't know if it's nitrous oxide, but like I know you can get high off them. They call them whippets, right?
Yeah.
Same with like compressed air, which is why they put that flavor.
Right.
In
Exactly.
Air, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So there's propellants. There's propellants.
Yeah, propellant. Right.
They'll get you high.
Those canisters are all over the place, right? And like they had like little water bottle looking things to be able to like distribute it more easily. And you know, people are just taking hits off of that stuff all the time. As far as I understand, it's a disassociative, so it'll kind of make you feel like kind of floaty, right?
I don't participate.
And like every once in a while, you know, I'd smell a little marijuana or see somebody put a roach in their pocket or something, and like they were always careful to put them away when the kids came around, you know. So it's like, yeah, family friendly ish, you know. Like it depends on who you are, you know. Like, do I want my kids tripping over these canisters, you know? Like how, you know. So anyway, so he's like, yeah, why not come up, you know, come on up, and I keep pushing back, like I need something more secure than this, you know. Like, just like you being like, I'll give you all the land you need, you know. It's like, well, that's, you know, got a contract or something, you know. And I got my sticky note, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, and I should mention too that like as this is going on throughout these days and weeks of doing this, like a few things that happened that helped me to kind of get to know Tony a little bit is like he's into like meditating, right? Like one time they had brought like this meditation instructor to the property. and like I played the meditation instructor off, off the property. Yeah, I did the same
way
thing.
to break the meditation.
Yeah,
great highland pipes.
No, they were done, and like I think I did use my small pipes for it, but I said something like, "This is a slow march called The Lotus Has Left the Building," and I like struck in and played like I don't remember what,
Highland Wedding.
Yeah, something like that.
Highland
right?
Cathedral.
And played him off the property and stuff like that, and sometimes Tony would call me down there to his bedroom, right, and like he wouldn't want to go eat, he just want to listen to some small pipes, and he'd do like he'd be like, "We're gonna do a meditation, we're gonna have a no talking rule as long as you're playing, right?" And so I'd play, and he'd just like kind of chill there while everybody else ate. And so, I began to feel just a little bit, maybe, of what we might think of as being like a classical bard in a way, or in the days of like the landed gentry, like having like a live-on artist, I began to feel a little bit of what that might be like, right? It was like maybe there was a niche that I could fill for this really wealthy person, right? Not that we were like buddies, right? Like it's not like we were talking about everything or anything like that, right? Just like when he needed this, I would come and play for him, right? And that forged something,
Yeah.
And on the note of meditating too, this is part of the candle thing, right? He really liked having candles all over the place. And I mean everywhere. These were like not just where people were. Every evening there were staff members who were bringing out the food, but there were at least 2, sometimes more people who were just assigned to run around with lighters to keep the candles burning because the wind would come and they'd blow out, right? So there are candles all around the dinner area. Mm-hmm. But if you go up in the woods where like the walkways are and stuff, there are like a bunch of paths that go through the trees. There are candles all over the place, like all over the entire property. Every evening there were just thousands of candles constantly burning. And Tony didn't like the wax to be cleaned up. That's why the first day it looked so weird to me, right? He wanted the wax to like melt and run down over the rocks and stuff like that to like get this like sort of like this. He liked the look or the feel of it, right?
Like this organic type.
Yeah. And then like on the beach, he had fenced off a small corner of the beach for himself to be able to go and be by himself there and to meditate there and stuff like that. In fact, there was are you familiar with the famous park bench that has a life-size statue of I'm trying to think of his real name. The guy who wrote Huck Finn.
Mark Twain, whatever his name was. Yeah. No, I don't.
I can't remember his real name. Well, you can imagine it's like a park bench with like a bronze statue of Mark Twain sitting on it, right? So you can go sit next to him, right? He had a replica of that statue on the beach there. Yeah.
So you can just chill with Mark Twain.
Yeah. And more often I think he was hanging out in a lawn chair, but it was like back there. And he really liked to listen to like classic big band music. So like lots of like trumpets and clarinets and stuff blaring, and he would do that during his meditation. So if you heard that music come on down by the beach, you knew he was like in his little corner, right? Anyway, so and sometimes he would travel, like this wasn't his only house, of course, right? So I would go 3 or 4 days without hearing from him.
Who can have just one?
Come on, right? I'd go 3 or 4 days without hearing from him, and that was usually because he was out of town, right? I find out after a little while, like he calls Las Vegas home, right? That's like kind of his home base. So like I'd show up and like if the Warriors, the Golden Warriors, their hockey team, the Las Vegas hockey team.
Golden Knights.
The Knights, yeah, the Golden Knights. Is the Nuggets like their football team or something like that?
I don't know if there's any Nuggets out of Nevada, but there's the Nuggets out of Colorado in NBA.
Oh yeah. Well, anyway, there was a hockey game on one night. He had a bunch of friends from Las Vegas there to play, so I went and played for the hockey
Golden
team.
Knights? Is that what they call?
I think so. It's Golden, some sort of warrior. Golden Spartans, Golden Knights.
I think it's Golden Knights.
Yeah, you're probably right. Where was I going with that? Just, these are the ways that I kind of got to know him a little bit. Like, at some point, like, honestly, like, and he was paying me good money, too, Like, the rate I was charging at that point was about $100 an hour. And I told him, I was like, it is a taxing drive to get up there. So I was like, I'm going to charge you to drive up as well, Mm-hmm. So, like, I'm not getting rich off of this. I'm still not quitting my job, right? But it paid for my piping habit that year,
And you're trying to source 15 sets of pipes.
That's right. I did after talking to him, I did call Jeremy, is it Downs, who owns Lone Star Piper?
Yep.
Because I like, they're the closest, right? So I called Jeremy and I was like, hey man, if I needed to get like a dozen sets of twist trap pipes like right away, are you stocked up for that? Could you do that for me? He's like, yeah, I've got enough to do that. I was like, all right, well, what else do you have, right? And I kind of went through the list of things I thought would be needed. I never ended up actually needing to place the order, unfortunately, right?
Yeah,
like,
right.
I wrote up the plan and everything for him and said this many of this kind of pipes, this many of this, because like later Tony and I would talk about it sometimes. Like he'd be like, I want you to have like your own little place where you're playing, but if anybody wants to learn, I want to be able to walk over there and you be able to hand them an instrument and be like, here you go. Like he wanted like the kids who came on site and grown-ups too to be able to leave his house with their own set of small pipes and one 20-minute lesson, you know,
Yeah.
which is a beautiful vision. You know, I was all for it, you know.
Now if I remember my story right, you'd kind of said that his handlers kind of watched the money and the flow.
Yes,
in and out,
that seemed to be the feel. Yeah, and so like it took
Tony
a long
wants
time.
a lot, but Tony gets some.
Right, exactly. That's and like it took a while to get paid. Like I would just keep adding to the invoice. I was like, yeah, they're good for it. You know, I'll get paid eventually. But it took a few weeks before I got paid every time. You know, I just keep adding to it because it's other people handling it. Totally. Yeah. And so like with the bagpipes and everything like that, like I didn't want to go buy, you know, what $40,000 of bagpipes.
Yeah.
And just like foot the bill for a few months, right, until they would pay me, you know. So I was trying to get that approved, you know, before I placed the order, you know, and it never did end up happening. But like so when he was out of town, I wouldn't hear much from him. But whenever he came back into town, oh yeah, and one night, what was it that he'd said? One of the times that the non-disclosure agreement came up. So like, I hope I'm not offending anybody by telling these stories. I think like they're only good stories. I can't, and like as if anybody who was up there is going to listen to this podcast anyway. But even if they did, they're nice people, so I wouldn't want to offend them or upset them or anything like that. But at one point he was like, "Oh, when you come back Thursday, Paula's coming for dinner. Maybe she'll sing with you." I was like, "Oh, cool." And somebody was like, "Paula Abdul." I was like, "Oh, Paula Abdul. Oh, that Paula. All right." You know, so like stuff like that. If he had like a special guest coming, he'd make sure I was there so I could play them onto the property and stuff like that. Like people got a kick out of that. One night he had some guy who I still don't know who it was. I can't remember his name. Must have been famous for something. And he's like, I want you to pipe that guy on the property like you have been doing, you know. So I was like, oh, okay. So I waited at the gate for him. He shows up with like his entourage, you know, a few other friends and stuff like that. And I was like, I'm going to play you on. Anything you want me to play? And they're like, the cucaracha. So I played La Cucaracha all the way down with these guys like trailing behind me. Like they started like dancing like they were Burning Man or something, man. Like dancing around behind me like fairies and stuff. It was pretty fun. Oh, again, like I think of that now, right? Like these things were like, there were 7 or 8 occurrences like this every time I went there, you know? So I'm just trying to think if I've missed any of the especially great ones.
That's right. Now tell me how it all fizzles out.
So the way it fizzles out, I stopped hearing from him.
Have a sip of your soda.
Yeah, I'll have a sip real quick here.
I downed mine like 30 seconds in.
And this is part of the reason why I might have liked to like write this story up, because I feel like if I were able to in a classy way sort of like lay the dots first that would then connect to the ending, I could do it in a beautiful and respectful way. I don't want this to seem like flippant, because it is a crazy story, you know, and it's like there are very funny parts of it for sure. But I hadn't heard from them for a little while. And so I reached out to Donnie. I was like, hey, man, I'm making some plans with my family to go out for the weekend. You know, so are you going to need me or not? You know, just let me know what's going on. And I don't think I ever heard from Donnie again. I can't remember how I first found out. But Tony passed away.
Now, I thought, so maybe I'm totally wrong. I thought you had stopped getting gigs for some time before Tony passed away. But you're saying he passed away rather close to when you stopped getting gigs? I
mean, close as in within weeks.
Okay, but not months. I thought there was like...
No, yeah,
I thought
it
was like a 6-month gap. Like no, not you stopped getting hired, then he passed away. But
right, yeah, it wasn't like I played from the night before and then he died, right? But it also wasn't too long. I think it was a matter of weeks. I mean, maybe it was 2 months. It's crazy that this has now been a while ago, you know, and like the craziness of it. I might have thought to myself at the time, like I will never forget this, you know. But no, there are details slipping already, you know. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think it was just a matter of weeks, you know, 3, 4, maybe 5 weeks. That I hadn't been up there and hadn't heard from them. And I was like, well, maybe that's it. You know, maybe they don't like bagpipes anymore. And this was my concern all along when Tony was making offers of employment, you know, is like, you like it today, you know, but my kids are going to need to go to college eventually, you know, like how long are you going to like bagpipes, you know? To be fair, at double what I've ever made before, you know, if I can get 3 years out of him, I'll pay my house off and be fine, you know, so whatever, I'll find work then, you know. Yeah. But I try not to think too much about that sometimes, you know, like what could I have achieved, you know? But yeah, I found out he'd passed away, and it's like maybe I can't remember now. So while he was still alive, while I was still going up there, I'd written a song for him, just because like, you know, he was taking pretty good care of me, you know, he was paying me, and it was interesting experience stuff. So I wrote this song called The Ranch, which is what they called that property. It was a really simple song. And like, I don't know, probably a melody line that has been done in folk music many times before, right? Very, very simple song. But still, you know, I wrote it and I printed out the sheet music real nice for him on like parchment paper and framed it and stuff and took it up to him one time. And he seemed to appreciate it and seemed to like it, you know. And after he'd passed away, some people who were talking about possibly writing, like doing a documentary about him did reach out, and they were like, hey, you know, maybe we could use that song at some point. Maybe we'd want to interview you. I emailed back and forth with them a little bit, like, you know, perfectly willing to participate. But the project changed hands at least twice. Like, I'd get an email from someone else being like, I'm taking this project over, and now I haven't heard from anybody for a long time. So maybe it won't happen. Maybe it happens, you know, in 10 years, you know, remembering the guy or something. But when he passed away, it's a sad thing, but, you know, anybody who's like famous or rich, you know, there'll be speculations, I suppose. And so like the way that he died was I think it might have been at his girlfriend's house. I feel like it was back east or something. This is something that I could Google, you know, like anybody could look this up.
Yeah, we could just look it up.
But yeah, he died in a fire in an outbuilding on a property, right? Which, like, some people were like, oh, you know, why didn't he wake up and come out? Like, he must have been locked in. You know, someone must have killed him or something. But, like, I can't help think, like, no way, you know. At least the group of people who I got to know, like, I think, really loved each other and him. I mean, some of them were his blood relatives, his siblings and stuff, you know, and his girlfriend and stuff like that, right? But
you know, when I saw the headlines, the first thing I thought was candles.
Yeah. Yep. That's what I'm pretty sure too. I'd be, in fact, maybe it's like a poetically beautiful way to imagine something horrible happening. But like, yeah, that's what I thought too. I was like, candles, solitude. I'd bet there was some big band music playing, you know?
Yeah.
Like this is how he got a few minutes alone. You know, like this is what he did. You know, he probably went to the outbuilding, shut the door, lit some candles, turned on his music, and maybe took a couple hits from some of that compressed stuff, you know, and so was a little more disassociated from reality than typically, and therefore didn't wake up when it got smoky, you know?
Or maybe not.
Maybe not. You know, who knows?
Maybe, you know.
Maybe somebody got jealous and wanted some money. Who knows, right?
No. Maybe the fire consumed the oxygen and he just passed away sleeping.
Could be.
Then only later
did
things burn down.
Totally. And what I would like to think to myself, though, is
died in his sleep.
That's exactly what I'd like to think. However it happened, I'd like to think, and I think it's a reasonably likely thing, that his last moments of consciousness were nice ones, you know, doing what he wanted to do with the candles burning.
He did everything he wanted to do.
If he didn't, there's not a lot left, I think. Because, like, man, all the time they were like, we're going to do hot air balloons tomorrow and stuff. Like, they were doing all kinds of stuff all the time. He was having a good time for sure. But, yeah, lovely guy. So what I found out later is that this guy, Tony, his last name is pronounced Shea, I believe. It's spelled a little different, though. Again, I should just Google this. I think that his parents are from the Philippines. And I believe he first made some money by writing some banner ad software that Microsoft purchased. But his bigger thing is that later he became the owner of Zappos.
Right.
And
he'd recently cashed in before he went to Park City, right?
That's right. Yeah, and I think that maybe was part of the leaving and going to Park City. From what I started to gather after having been up there for a little while, people would talk about what he was trying to build there. And I never, it's like I'd hear like these references to it, but never quite know what the vision was. And I guess that previously in Nevada, he had built kind of an artists community, kind of in a trailer park. Like he'd kind of like bought up or built up a trailer park, and like he had like llamas running around and like would do the same thing. He would invite people to come and basically just like live there and just like live a good life together. And he would write these contracts with them that he'd give them double whatever they'd ever made, you know, and just come be in community here, right? And so from what I understood, he was trying to set up the same kind of thing in Utah, but with a more family-friendly twist, you know. So maybe the place in Nevada was less bring your kids, you know, more if you don't have kids, come on over, or abandon your kids and come over, or something like that, right? And so like he was trying to set up like a, I don't know, Neverland Ranch comes to mind, but then there are negative connotations, but, you know, so that's not what I wouldn't want to draw that, right? But yeah, from what I understand, it's kind of what he was going for. And yeah, I guess that's where he got his money, and his eccentricities are chronicled on the internet. You can read all about how he like dissolved the power structures at Zappos and disrupted the industry by saying he was going to offer free refunds, like all kinds of things, you know, that I don't know, it's like I've wondered before, especially after having met him, like to what degree do you have to have a person who's the right kind of free thinker that they change an industry and like make like big changes that echo beyond their own life? Is that the impetus where it starts, or is it that someone has to have enough success that they can do what they want without fear of consequences, and that's what gives birth to innovation? I'm not sure, you know, which one's the chicken and which one's the egg, but
that was a beautiful story.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I feel like I should have had some better, more beautiful way to say he died, but how else, right?
No,
that's what happened.
That's what it is. You know. I mean, I think what an experience, dude.
It was crazy. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And you know, I hope your story comes across just as full of joy and excitement, right?
Mm.
In no negative connotation, because from what I've gathered, it wasn't that experience at all. It was just everything about it was just bliss and awesome.
Yeah, and the thing is, if I'd known of people like Tony and Donnie and a lot of the other people who I met there on a very surface level, I would have made all kinds of negative assumptions about them, right? That like all they care about is money, they're just out to have a good time, you know, like just like sex, drugs, and rock and roll, you know. But having spent more time with them, like maybe these are a special group of that, you know, like at one point I had to call a friend of mine, name's Trevor. He runs his family construction business based out of Spanish Fork, Stubbs Construction. They build a lot of stuff that's like luxury stuff. Like they build a lot of like luxury cabins and stuff like that. And so I knew he'd worked with people like this before. And it's like when Tony's like telling me things like, I want a sweat lodge and I want 12 sets of bagpipes and stuff like that, I called him. I was like, how do you handle a client like this, right? Because most clients, I say, okay, that's going to be this much. Is that okay with you? And they want to review that up ahead of time, right?
Yeah.
But Tony doesn't want to see numbers, you know? Like that bothers him, you know? I'm like, how do you handle this? And he kind of coached me through. He's like, no, here's what you got to understand. I think it was Jane Austen who said through Elizabeth Bennet, let me tell you about the very rich. They are not like you and me, right? So he explains this. He's like, you can't think like yourself, right? That's not how he thinks, right? He just wants a thing done. Get it done and bill him later, you know? And that's not to take advantage of him or anything like that. Just, they don't want that minutia, right? They want the thing, get the thing, right? Worry about the other stuff later. Anyway, now I can't remember. Just the assumptions I would have made about this class of people, right? These are people who have amounts of money that I will never achieve this, right? This is a set of people that like I gotta peek into these circles that I never will have like genuinely for my own. Like I'm never gonna enter these circles and live in these circles. You know what I mean? But I don't know. It did something for me that's like I'm used to thinking of prejudice as being something that I would have that could only exist in a punching down way, right? That I might have negative biases. I hope I don't, right? But I think of prejudice and biases as being something that you look down on people who are poorer than you, less educated than you, things like that, right? That you perceive as being less moral than you or something like that, right? But this felt like a backward thing where like it's always safe to have prejudices against people who you're punching up toward. Right. But
I see what you're saying.
Those negative ideas that I would have had of these people if I'd only seen them on a surface level were just as wrong as negative ideas that I might have about people who I was punching downward toward. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, like this guy, I can imagine if I hadn't known him and had heard that news story, I would have maybe thought just a flippant little thought, something like, there's another one, you know, like just had
something
no morals.
Something in a negative way.
Yeah, something negative. Just like, your candle burned bright and burnt out fast serves you right, you know?
Yeah.
Candle metaphor is very fitting in this case, isn't it? But no, not at all, you know? And like, I did try to send some messages to some of the people who I had contact with still, you know, Donnie and some other people, and just like let them know, like, I'm really sorry and stuff. But I'd imagine that, I mean, I was a hired entertainment, you know, so I wouldn't expect him to, so I wouldn't expect him to like feel any connection to me anyway. So no big deal there that I didn't hear from him. But also, I think at the time there probably were ongoing investigations and stuff like that. So probably people weren't supposed to be reaching out anyways. But that's it, man. That's the chronicle. That
was amazing.
Was it?
Yeah.
Did that come out okay?
Yeah.
Good. Because like I have thought to myself.